A number of true freshmen are already on campus working out for BC, but there's one player on defense that I'm watching for that could have a big impact on Boston College's defense very shortly.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you're looking for Boston College news, analysis, and details on your Eagles, you are in the right place. Locked On Boston College is a free daily Boston College podcast available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we're going to get into a new official visit that's coming, one with a lot of big offers. I'll explain who that is and why you should be excited about who this name is. I'm going to give you a name on offense and defense I'm going to be watching during spring practice this year. And let's kick it off by talking about some of the freshmen. Now, part of the show, I realized something. Last month, 2 months ago, BC signed this huge recruiting class. And because of the transfer portal, because of all the offseason news that was going on with coaching changes and everything else, really didn't get a chance to dive into it. Now, all you everydayers out there, you've had a chance to hear when they signed with BC, but some of you guys are new. You haven't heard my thoughts on some of these players. So I'm going to talk about these players. I'm going to give you more added insight on who these recruits are, and I want to give you a comp that I think might be a valuable comparison to who this player might be in terms of their former BC players. The first one I want to talk today about is an early enrollee, and it's Cameron McGee. Cameron McGee is a defensive tackle from Loganville, Georgia. He went to Grayson High School, obviously a big time high school in the country. Played sporadically for Grayson, but he came into BC's radar after they lost a commitment and they needed another defensive tackle. They had just hired Kenyatta Watson, who was a former assistant coach or higher up at Grayson. And so he really pushed some buttons and brought this kid in. Now, McGee was only rated an 85, but you would never know that if you looked at his offer list. He had offers from Alabama, Auburn, SMU, Arkansas, Georgia, Kansas State, LSU, Miami, Michigan, South Carolina, Texas A&M, USC. The list goes on and on. So he had a huge offer list. But if anything, this was one of those first signings that really showed what you can hope for with Kenyatta Watson taking over as general manager. You were hoping that he would open doors in the Peach State, and clearly this was a big one because it wasn't just these schools offered. He took official visits to Auburn and Alabama. So they were recruiting him. I don't know how hard they continue to in terms of like were they going to take him or not, but they were seriously involved with him, and he ended up coming to BC. So, this is one of multiple defensive tackles they brought. Jackson Carlisle's another one that enrolled early. Gavin Neal is coming this summer, and along with Mac Fitzgerald. But I see Mac Fitzgerald more in like the Sed McConnell kind of role. When you watch the film of what Cameron McGee can do, you see what may excite BC fans. I think he's 6'3". 6'2", 310 pounds, according to his 247 account. And you watch the film, you watch what he can do. He is a big body. Okay. This guy is a defensive tackle that takes up space, and that is good. Like you're only getting a chance to watch the highlight reel, so you don't get to see the plays like he's not in on. But when they're running on him, it's like he's like a black hole in the middle of that defense. Like just the plays that they're showcasing him, he's pushing the center back. He is like eating up the run in the backfield. Like he's strong, he's big, and he's making these plays for them, especially on the run defense. That's what I saw a lot of. But that strength and decent speed. Like he's a defensive tackle. He's going to be explosive to an extent. But he's not going to be like a bat out of hell coming off the snap. You don't see that, but you see him get a good explosion off of the snap, and that's good. But I think that kind of explosion could, with some good coaching, and you got Ben Albert here who has done a great job of evaluating and bringing up players, could get him up to being a pass rusher. And what interests me most, he is one of a few that I'm looking at and going, I wonder if he develops during spring camp, if he develops over the summer because he's an early enrollee, if we'll see him early on. You lost Owen Stodmeyer, you lost Ty Clemens, you lost a few of these guys up front. You needed to fill them in. You brought in KJ Sampson, and you have Christian Hudson, who's a younger defensive tackle from Colorado. But maybe there's space, because when you look at how teams play the defensive tackles, they're bigger guys. So you cycle them in a lot of times for packages, a lot of times for situational football. You wonder, could he play? And I'm not like buying that yet, because there's other players that I think could still jump back in that we didn't see last year, like Micah Ameti. We only saw a piece of him before he got hurt. I think it was his hand injury. I think I remember seeing something on that. But he's back, and obviously he jumped up pretty quickly. And of course, I mentioned the transfer. So maybe this year, maybe it'll be a year away. But he's a name I'll be watching, because he's definitely a defensive tackle that's got a lot of promise. You play at Grayson High School, that's probably as good of a prep to play at a school like BC as it gets. You're playing at the highest level of high school football, probably in the country, in front of crowds that are rival some ACC crowds. And that's a good sign to get him in here. Now, I said something. I'm going to make my player comp here. And I was asking Mitch Wolf about it too, because he's 6'2", 310. I was a little hesitant to put him in the same category as Cam Horsley, who's a little bigger. He was 6'4". His style is similar to Horsley, watching the film. Like, he's that kind of disruptor, which is great. He's a little smaller, so maybe a comp right now is a little bit more explosive TJ Ram. You guys remember TJ Ram from a couple years ago? That's the kind of player I could see him kind of evolving into. Solid player, and we'll see where that kind of leads to. So that's Cameron McGee. Again, we're going to be doing these, just so I want you all to know the freshmen. We're so enamored with the transfers right now, because literally that was like 2 months worth of shows here. We don't want to forget about the class of 26. So I'm going to be featuring these guys a lot, and you'll hear more and more about each one as we get closer and closer to spring practice. So that's Cameron McGee from Grayson, Georgia. In a moment, I want to talk about the defense and offense, and one player from each side of the ball that I cannot wait to watch during spring camp. I'll explain who those two players are in just a moment.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Welcome back. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I am living and breathing Boston College here. As you guys have seen in the last 2 days, I've been away. I've recorded shorts in a movie theater and on a ski lift. It's my love of talking BC. When I hear news, I want to get it to you as fast as possible. And if you're here at Locked On BC, you're getting that right now. If you want to get even more down into the BC weeds and know more about your Eagles, know more about my thoughts about certain things that are going on as an insider who knows these teams inside and out, you need to become part of our Everydayer Club. Part of our Everydayer Club is our all access tier. You get bonus episodes. I gave one with 5 coaches I think would be good fits if BC moves on from Earl Grant. And I'm going to give you a couple quarterbacks on today's episode that's going to talk about some names that you may want to watch for when they're coming in terms of quarterback recruits. So make sure that you become part of our all access tier because you get all that and text messages from me, and you get a daily newsletter and so much more. So sign up on the link below, or and hopefully I'll see you all there. So we're getting more snow here in Massachusetts, but don't tell that to anyone else because in just a few weeks, BC starts spring football. I believe it's March 10th is the kickoff of spring football. And nothing gets me more excited for the upcoming season than the start of camp. Now I get to go to a bunch of practices, and Mike Sidley, who also you guys have heard here, will go to a bunch as well. And part of camp is to get to see that next level of player jump up and start to take that next step. Last year for me, the eye openers were VJ Wilkins. I know, hello, he didn't do much, but Jaden Skeet also hurt, and Osaya Turns, who also got hurt. So those were the 3 that, like, last year I was like, wow, these guys are going to really make an impact. Unfortunately, all of them got hurt or just didn't end up doing much. But this year, I have a couple players that I'm looking forward to watching, and I'm going to give you one on each side of the ball that I've just been like, okay, these are 2 players I cannot wait to see at camp to see, will they take that next step? We'll start defensively. Now, you lost Omar Thornton to the transfer portal. This was a huge loss for BC. Probably one of their most up-and-coming cornerback, defensive backs. Miami probably just gave him a gigantic bag to go play closer to home. I get it. But now you have to figure out what happens next. Now, one player that could go back to that safety spot is Carter Davis. He moved over to corner this year. I feel like he's probably a little bit more natural at the safety spot, but we'll have to wait to see what they do there because, if they're going to continue to build him as a corner, I get that. He's an upperclassman. Maybe you need that spot, especially you lost Kevin Hume, who never got to campus, and that stuff happens, right? Well, say that Carter Davis stays at cornerback. Who could be a player that could become the next safety? Well, you brought in Cam Howard from Alabama. He definitely could be a name. But one name that, and I have to admit, when I was talking about positional battles I'm looking to watch for, did not even mention this player, and that was my bad. And that is Marcus Upton. Marcus Upton is going to be a sophomore this year. He's from New Jersey. He went to school at Winslow Township. Last year, he played in 9 games on special teams as a reserve safety, totaling 17 tackles, including 1 for loss. Saw his first action on special teams against Cal. Appeared at safety in the 4th quarter pit for the first time in his career. Finished with 6 tackles versus UConn. So, when I think back to that UConn game specifically, you moved KP Price to linebacker because you were just ravaged with injuries. You needed somebody to jump up. You had Marcus Upton. This is one of your highest rated recruits from a couple of years ago. And the staff thought a lot about him. So he's had some experience. It's not like he's, fresh, like fresh meat that has not played. He's played quite a bit. And he's talented. You've seen him do some things already that make you think, okay, maybe he's the next safety for you to play. So I'm not sure if he will take that jump, but he's certainly a player that I'm looking forward to watch. He's got good size. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. And, he was top 50 in his position nationally when he came out of high school. He played both sides of the ball. Like, I just felt like he was a player that was starting to come up. And with, a new defensive back coach, you have, Corey Robinson gone. This gives a chance for some guys to catch his attention, the new defensive backs coach. And this could be the chance for Upton to jump up. And maybe it will be him. Maybe it will be Carter Davis. Maybe it will be Cam Howard. Who knows who, there's a million different things that they can do on defense. And I could see them being very flexible and cycling lots of different guys in and out. But I really think there's a chance that we see a little bit more of Marcus Upton this year. He's one I want to watch during camp. Offensively, I'm not going for a skill position because the biggest question mark that I have going into camp is the offensive line. And yes, I could go into all the transfers, but I'm going with the guys that were here last year. And yeah, there's like 45 left or whatever. One player that I am very excited to see is Pape Sy. Now, Pape Sy played quite a bit of tackle last year for a guy that was only a redshirt freshman. He played in 11 games, played on field goal and pass protection, saw action at right tackle in multiple games. And he was a huge recruit coming out of high school, which was interesting because this was a guy coming from Senegal who played at the NFL Academy in England, but has enormous size. He's 6'6", 320 pounds. He is the tackle of the future, in my opinion, for BC. And I know there's a lot of optimism that he could be the next starting tackle for BC. He's going to have a huge jump in expectations this year, though, if he's going to do that. Obviously, playing a handful of snaps in some, either an injury mop-up or mop-up duty is one thing, but getting out there and playing against real, defenses is a whole other. He's big. He's learning fast. Now, let me just tell you this. From watching camp in 2024 to 2025, Sy took a huge jump. It was so apparent watching him. In 2024, he came in as a true freshman, and he just looked raw, right? Like guys like him are going to be raw. He just picked up the sport a couple years ago. So he looked raw. To see him last year, it was like, wow, this is some development here. To see that he was like, he looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked like good size. Like he looked like a college lineman now. And that was impressive. It was really something worth watching. Like I was just like kind of blown away with it because, I expected his development to go a little slower than that. And I don't want to, pump his gas too quickly because I'm sure if he gets to start, he's going to have some bumps too. But that jump was like, that really caught my attention because just picking up this sport to getting to where he is now to looking like he did, I was like, okay, so he could be getting closer to start the starting spot than we were expecting. Now, credit to BC, they brought in a bunch of guys in the portal that can play tackle, whether Reggie Jackson, who I probably expect to play the other tackle position, but you have Trayvon Humphrey, you have other guys that can also jump up and play that position. They'll have, that came in like Juju Vigor and things like that. Like they've got options to go there. But if Sy has if he continues to develop like the way he did last year, he's a slam dunk, I think, to start. We just got to watch and see it. That's exciting. It's like the new generation of offense. Like we've now officially moved past the Drew Kendalls, the Ozzie Trapillos, the Jude Boweries, that whole crew to this new class. And it could be his group. And I think that's going to be something worth watching. Now, in our final segment, official visit season is right around the corner, and we already have another name to watch for. And this is the biggest one yet. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored job is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person will stumble across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and locations. If I were hiring for a writer, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I want someone who can do it right now, and they have the right experience because it saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. Indeed Jobs is the right fit for you. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. It's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has been the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. Pulled up the Game Time app, picked up an upcoming NBA game, and had tickets locked up within minutes. Being able to see where I was going to sit made buying tickets so much easier, and with zone deals, they stood out. I chose the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's GameTime.co, not .com. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here, wrapping things up here, talking about official visit season. But before I get into that, let me just say, I want to shout out BC women's star, former BC women's star, Megan Keller, who scored the game-winning goal in the U.S. finals in women's hockey, defeating Canada 2-1 in a thrilling overtime victory. If you did not catch this game, you missed out, because this game was awesome. Hillary Knight scored the tying goal with 2 minutes left in the game. The U.S. had just pulled their goalie to try to get that goal. They win a face-off, battled the puck down low, scored. That was awesome. Then they go to overtime. The U.S. start to push. Keller makes an incredible move. I am not putting on the hyperbole here. This was one of the prettiest goals I've ever seen. The move that she made to score there was incredible. The women's win the gold medal. It was incredible. What a game. It was a lot of fun to watch. And, it was great to see a BC star, and there was tons of them on that roster, become the hero in that game. Now, wrapping things up, let's talk about an official visit here who's coming in June. And we're getting into official visit season. And, you're probably not going to see a ton of players announcing yet, but you're going to see a few, because many of them haven't made their unofficial visit yet to check out the campus. So some of them still want to see what the campus is, but some of them already have great relationships with the staff. And this one, I assume, probably knows Kenyatta Watson, because his name is Larry Morgan, and he's coming from Boca Raton, Florida. Now, if he wants to stay at my house and I will go move to Boca Raton, I'm happy to do that, because I would rather live in Boca Raton than have the 3 feet of snow that we have out here. But I'm all kidding aside. Larry Morgan, the third, is a class of 27 cornerback, 5'11", 170 pounds, who his offer list is crazy. And that includes Louisville, Michigan State, NC State, Ole Miss, Pitt, Purdue, UCF, Wisconsin, West Virginia, and then a bunch of other mid-level schools. And I think he just got offered somebody else today. But the fact that you have a guy with that kind of offer list coming to check out campus. Sorry if my background keeps flashing in and out. I'm like recording in a basement at a ski house, so this is as good as it's going to get in terms of background. I apologize. I'm trying to just get it to stop doing that. But anyways, Larry Morgan is a guy that has a huge offer list, a lot of interest, and this is the kind of stuff that I mentioned that you're hoping that Kenyatta Watson can do. Morgan, I was looking up what's going on with him, and this is a guy that's going to be like a highly recruited cornerback. I don't believe he has a rating yet, and he has no rating yet, so that'll be interesting to see what he does. BC gets his first official visit, so that's crazy. Like, when you have SEC and Big Ten schools looking at him, and BC gets the first official visit, that's great news. That's a step in the right direction, I have to say. Many times you get a guy taking official visit, and their offer list is like, but this is not the case. And so this is a credit to Kenyatta Watson and the staff that are bringing him in. So, I would say the cornerbacks coach, but they just hired him. So maybe he knows the cornerbacks coach. I'm not sure about that. I didn't see Oklahoma State as an offer for him yet, but Larry Morgan is one to watch for. So that's a good get for BC to get on board. And so thank you all for listening to today's show. On tomorrow's show, we will get into more BC football, more I'll give you some more news on the recruits that are coming in, so you guys get that firsthand knowledge about them, and get the details, so when they're strapping up and playing this spring, you know who they are. And thank you all. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, Blue Sky, on TikTok. I'm available on all of those. Hopefully you're already checking those out. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because I'd love to see you guys again for another episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every day.